You're awesome.
Hey, I'm Russ Johns here from Future Media TV, and I have Tracy Haynes in the house. He's from the Authority Syndicate. He's a master networker, someone that actually can do more for your business than most people can. And I want to share a couple of things, Tracy, with you in the marketing world. You know, you're a speaker, an author, and also a business person that has had a long history and experience with, photography, developing authority for other people. And is that tied to your overall? I mean, is that the way you are day in and day out? Is your history an accumulation of who you are today, and what brought you to this point today? Who's Tracy Haynes, and what do you believe in today, Tracy?
Yeah, that's a great question, Russ. And thank you again for having me on the program. It's always an honor to support the Future Media Association and you and Marion. And so thank you for having me. The, that's, it's all culminated into what I'm doing today. I live, breathe everything that you just described. And just for search purposes, my published name is T. Allen Haynes, and I answer to Tracy or.
Well, I know you a little differently than most, so to me, you're Tracy, but T. Allen.
So, yeah. So those of you that want to search for me and find out what I'm doing, T. Allen Haynes is a good search term. But yeah, I mean, got all my experience primarily from being in the military. I learned at a young age what I wanted to do, and that was be creative. And I know Future Media is about being creative, and that photography mindset and creative came about at an early age because I watched my dad do it. He was an amateur photographer, and I was fascinated by it, but got the chance to do it professionally in the military as a U.S. Navy photographer. Was the greatest job I ever had.
Wow.
And most of my adult life, I got to travel the world, take pictures, and be creative and document things and hang out with celebrities and presidents and things like that. So, yeah, it took me a while to figure it out, Russ. But because I owned a brick and mortar business when I got out of the military, it set me up for running a company.
Right.
I had 25 photographers that I was in charge of on an aircraft carrier with a $250,000 quarterly budget. So I figured, once I step out in the civilian world, I should be able to run a company or start my own business. So, of course, the brick and mortar thing was, it owned me. It was a great experience, but I would never, how do I want to put this? Those businesses, like I said, they run you. And basically, I didn't know what I was doing, but I did the Branson thing. If somebody asks you if you know how to do it, you say yes and figure it out along the way. So I built my wings on the way down. But so great experience and lots of failures. And I talk about that I got a new book coming out called The Authority Code.
Oh,
Here's
I love it.
Pre
Love the cover.
Pre-book, step-by-step formula on exactly what I've done through my career and how it's built my positioning. And
I want to dig down because a lot of parallels in place here with I've been I grew up as an entrepreneur. I was a musician, a creative. I played music, and traveled and toured internationally, and then I evolved and I got married, and I thought, well, I probably need to get a job now. So I went to corporate America, rose up the ranks, and got into the corporate office, the ivory tower or so. And through mergers and acquisitions, I failed to, they ejected me, and I became a corporate orphan. And I suspect that the feeling and the emotion you had when you left the military, there she is. Hey, Sunshine.
Good morning. Sorry, don't let me interrupt.
Yeah. And I suspect that the emotion that you had when you left the military is very similar. You know, you have a lot of structure, you have a lot of discipline, you have a lot of things that are open and available to you. And it's kind of like a clean canvas with an artist. And you get out and you're thinking, okay, well, I have some plans, I have some things. And, you know, marketing plays a huge role in marketing yourself to yourself. Did you go through that phase? Did you go through that evolution of deciding, what do I want to do? And you mentioned, you know, your brick and mortar business that owned you. And how did you evolve from that to get into the marketing position that you're in today?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I was an early adopter. I had a web address when it was just numbers way back when. I don't know if you remember that, but I've been an entrepreneur all my life as well. I did my first deal when I was 13, and I asked the local grocery store owner. I was fascinated by the fact that he owned a grocery store and it was a business, but I needed to enter a raft race and I needed some money, and I was looking for a sponsor to help build my raft. And I walked into his office and said, hey, you know, I told him what I was going to do. Of course, he said, what's in it for me? And I said, I'll put your sign on the side of the raft as we go down the river for some advertisement.
Oh, brilliant.
And he funded my raft to build my raft. And so that was my first official business deal. And
That's
then
amazing.
I used my photography skills to get gigs. My first photography gig, I was 16. A guy paid me $500 to document his household goods for insurance purposes. But yeah, going back to your question, coming out of the military, you know, I did very well in a structured environment. And this is kind of, I don't know, entrepreneurs are so free-spirited that some of them don't have success in a structured environment. But I did very well in a structured environment. And then when I got out of it, I could still be independent and still had that need to run the show.
Right.
And I think my entrepreneurial skills from early on helped me in the military because I could adjust. You got to be a good follower before you can be a good leader.
Absolutely.
So my leadership skills are salient, but they emerged, and it become very easy for me to navigate, you know, the military and be very successful and eventually, you know, climb the ranks quickly and get everything that I wanted, basically. But it was a great environment for me.
Mm-hmm.
I only regret that I didn't start earlier, but I did the college thing and then eventually ended up in the military. So when I got out, I was so burnt out, I guess, because I didn't want to be in charge of anything. I didn't want to make any decisions. I didn't want to be responsible for anybody except for my family. So I went into a funk for about 60 days, and being the leader, my leadership tendency said, you need to get back in the game. So, you know, I went in like most entrepreneurs, you go into it full force, and I purchased a trucking company. I had that on my bucket list since I was a kid because I loved to travel and I loved to the open road and
right.
You know, seeing new things. So I clicked that off my bucket list, and it ended up being a nightmare, but I had to go through that experience.
However, yeah,
so,
I mean, you have to go through it.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's the entrepreneurship and the transition was I always had it in me, and it was a positive thing for me. And explaining the success in the military was, you know, a lot of people freak out about the structure and being told what to do and being in a certain place at a certain time and everything structured. I thrived in that environment. So once you come out of that and you're an entrepreneur,
right.
I transitioned into corporate America, and I was shocked, Russ. I got into corporate America and I was like, you got to be kidding me. I had never experienced.
Oh, that's great.
And the training and the leadership and I mean, I was blessed to be a part of a company that was generating, you know, we were billing BP $1 million a day.
Yeah.
And I got the opportunity to train the leadership and the employees and working safe and doing those things.
Yeah.
But I was shocked at what was going on.
Yeah.
And then I was shocked 8 months later when they laid me off and they didn't need me no more. So,
Right.
or 8 years later, I'm sorry. But
it's crazy.
You think you're prepared for that, but still my entrepreneurial skills did well for me in corporate America because that plays a big. If you can utilize that in corporate America, you have, you can.
So tell us, Tracy. Yeah. So the accumulation of that experience has brought you here today, and what you're doing for others is building their authority, and you use that skill set to build authority through authorship. Primarily is what I've been around you. Some of the things that you're doing right now are very special. Can you share what you're doing right now to help others along the way, and what is your strategy to build authority like that?
Yeah, that's a great point. Building authority is, that's it's something that's not going to go away. It's not SEO. It's not video ranking. It's your positioning in the marketplace, and publishing is just a small part of that. And people are worried about their brand and talking about, I got to create this logo, I got to create all this. Well, you're the logo and you're the brand, your name. So how do you build authority? And the authority is that you help educate clients and teach them what it is that helps them in their particular niche or their particular business. So if you're an expert, now use that word loosely, calling yourself the expert these days is not very cool. You have to have other people call you the expert, or let your audience call you the expert.
Right.
Excuse me, because it's that's the key to what I teach, is having third-party people tell others that you are in fact the expert.
Yeah.
And publishing is one of them. Experts publish. Not only do they publish books, but they're published in other people's books. They're publishing as far as on LinkedIn. They're contributing articles and educating their target audience on exactly how they can help them and answer their questions. So it's a building process, and you stay in the media, you stay active and contributing, and that's how celebrities do it. They're always active, they're always in the news, they're always providing content to help people, and then you get to a point where you can raise your prices and you can charge more for your services because you are the known expert within your marketplace, and it creates that ripple effect. And speaking publicly is one of the steps of authority. You have to be out there presenting and educating and being the leader, and everything will create a domino effect and start helping you be the go-to expert within your marketplace.
Okay, I don't. Yeah, you're going a little fast now. Let's slow it down, break it down, right?
Sorry.
We got
no, it's wonderful.
Let's peel it back a little bit, Marion.
There you go. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I captured just about everything that you said, with bullet points. So I loved what you said about publishing you. Your brand is you. It's not about just a logo, but that's part of it, right? It's not about the blog post that you write, but that's part of it. It's not about you going out there and speaking, but that's part of it. It's a brand, and it's called you, right? So that is awesome. I love that part. So educating your clients, that is like, we should pay you for that bit of advice right there. We don't think about that. We just think about how we're going to tell the world, how are we going to market ourselves. We don't think, by educating our market, we're creating an authority. That is golden.
And I want to add to that, Marion. That's an excellent point. And I had a conversation with a friend yesterday, and there's two sides of this coin, because there's a lot of people on social, and I'm guilty of this, that, I post my face, I post what I stop where I'm eating, and, I'm engaged in social media. That's part of what I do. That's part of who I am. And she was saying, I feel differently about that because it seems like it's arrogant or egotistical, the selfies all the time, shooting pictures. And I think there's degrees of that. However, if you don't get out in the market, nobody's going to know you're in the market. So what's the nuance? And I'm asking this to both of you. What's the nuance between the selfie mentality and the educational mentality? Because I think that's the dividing line, is if you're sharing information, if your face is on the screen like we're here today, and we're sharing valuable information, it's not about me. It's about who's watching. It's about you. It's not about me. And that's the difference I see. And I just kind of wanted to talk about that as we're talking about presenting in the market.
Exactly. That's a great point. You want to be active, of course, personally, but you want to bring value to the marketplace. When people see you and you're providing this valuable content about podcasting, let's just use that for an example.
Mm-hmm.
You take a small part of your content that you've either written in a book or you've written somewhere, and you repurpose it and you put it on Facebook. Are you familiar with Facebook Notes right now? You ever heard of that?
I've heard of it. I haven't played in it yet.
I'm not familiar.
But I have played in the streaming.
Facebook Notes is similar to Pulse on LinkedIn.
Mm.
And Damon Johns from Shark Tank is using that now to promote his book.
Interesting.
And he's taking pieces of his book and putting it in Facebook Notes and spreading it out over time. And it's content that he's educating his marketplace. So that's the type of content that you put out there and educate your target audience. And Facebook Notes is valuable. It creates this nice page and nice header photo.
Okay, wait a minute. Tell us a little bit more about Facebook Notes. How do we find it? A lot of people, when they go on Facebook, they just look at their news feed. So how would you go about finding where it is first?
When you click on your main page, get out of the feed and go onto your main page.
Yeah.
And up at the top, it's either a wheel or
I think it's the more. You can do more and do a drop down.
Yeah, do more.
Yeah.
And it says notes. And you click on that. You can put an entire ad on there. You can put a sales letter on there. You can put content on there, whatever your heart desires. And it shows up in the news feed as this cool, like editorial type of an article.
Yeah.
And you can utilize that to, if you've just written a book, like my new book, The Authority Code, will be, I'll be taking sections out of that. I'm talking 500 words. And then every day you can post something in there. Now you're educating and supporting your target audience with content, and they start looking forward to your content instead of cat videos and dog videos. I'm just kidding.
Right.
Whatever you besides whatever you post every day, and you start doing that. So those platforms are there for you to help you educate your client and your target audience.
So Tracy, let's say you post something in Facebook Notes. Mm-hmm. Is that going to be seen by people, or is it the same thing that Facebook is doing where they're, you got to pay to play?
You still have to boost it, don't you?
You boost it.
It's going to go into your feed. So whoever your audience is going to see that.
Yeah. Organic reach
you can boost
Facebook
it. You can
adapting social. Mention that in the sidebars.
Okay, so then you take that same content and you can place that on your blog, or you can place that on, LinkedIn.
Yep.
Right? Okay, good.
LinkedIn, make a short video.
Hey.
Talking talk into a audio recorder, post it on Spreaker or any of those audio SoundCloud. Now you've got content, and there's no excuse for not having any content.
Well,
everybody's sitting on content. They just have to put
Right.
it in modalities so people can consume it
Right.
and start positioning yourself.
Right.
And that's the content creation part that we talk about in my new authority code. I've come up with a formula, and that part of the formula is content creation.
well, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that are very active in content creation, and the prediction for 2016, from what I understand, Joe Plitzy and the guys from Brian from, I'm dropping his name now. I'm totally flashing out. The idea is to create quality content, and not only quality content, but quality content that people share is going to start driving your audience and start driving activity about who you are and what you're doing. And it's really a powerful tool. A lot of people in the tech world are using Medium as a publishing platform, and that's tied to Twitter Logon as well. Medium, platforms like Blab. Creating content does not necessarily mean exclusively writing a blog post or writing about, a story or a white paper or anything like that. It can be multiple levels. Marion and I come from a heavy background in podcasting. So that's another way to get content creation in place. So these are all tools that marketing efforts have, it's really powerful and it's consistency. Don't you think, Tracy?
Yes, consistency is the key word. I was just having this conversation with one of our event planners, and it was like, you got to have the events, and I don't care if nobody shows up. You got to follow through with the event and then schedule the next event so people can see consistency. It's psychology where, people want to see other people participating. It's like a car wreck. It's why people rubberneck. When there's an accident, people stop and they look. The reason why they're looking is to see if it's true, is this really happening? And two, has anybody called 911? But they don't want to be the first one to do it because they don't want to be seen as a fool. They don't want to be seen as, something different.
Right.
So the key with having events is, you said it, consistency. The key with having content and position yourself is consistency. Are you consistently being talked about by third-party people? Are you being interviewed on podcasts? Are you publishing in books? Are you providing content? Are you a contributor to other magazines? So that's the formula, basic formula.
Show your book again.
Which one?
the newest one. Yeah.
Yeah, this is coming out in February, the Authority Code.
Where can we get it?
To become the hunted versus the hunter for more leads, sales, and profits. This is the culmination of, it's got a lot of my backstory in there, and then the exact formula to build your platform, basically how I teach others and my clients and myself how we did it. And it's a step-by-step process consistently.
Fantastic.
Now, I want to remind everybody in the chat window, and thank you everyone for being here. Everybody adapting social, you brought in some great points. Monty, there's so many things out there that we could all are, accumulated knowledge. If we could just package it up and bring it to the table, it would be phenomenal. And that's our goal at Future Media Association is, words, images, audio, and video, and making sure that people, even people in the industry like ourselves that, are learning different things at different times. Some people have heard of Notes a long time ago. Medium is new to some people. Blab is new. We've had a couple of first timers in the room today. All of these things, whether you learn them when they first come out or you adopt them later on when they're more mature, they're all contributing to your marketing efforts in some way. And I think one of the things that we teach in our classes, Marion, and you can speak to this as well, is find what works for you. Find out what works for your voice. And if podcasting is your preference, or videos are your preference, or writing is your preference, or creating really amazing graphics and sharing that is your preference, just find something that can get in the groove and you can help others and deliver their message and also create some traction in the market for yourself. Because
and I want to add to that so much, because Tracy has helped us step outside of our comfort zone. We started with video because we love video. We're comfortable with video. And Russ and I love training and giving classes. And so we're up in front of audiences all the time. But we weren't really comfortable writing a book. Oh, that sounds very,
Yeah, I can spell my way out.
Guess what?
Position.
Guess what? We now have a book, right? How cool is that? Tracy, I know you just have it right there, don't you? It's called the Lone Star Media Leaders, and we have 13 media leaders in there giving their story, and it's fantastic. The feedback we've got, we're #1 bestsellers in 3 countries, and we never even thought about it. So you could reach out to people like Tracy that could help you do things that maybe are outside your comfort zone. But I agree with Russ. Start with what you feel comfortable with, and then move up to different things. Just stick your toe in if you're not sure, especially video.
Well, exactly. And Tracy, thank you for being a sponsor. And for the next number of weeks, we're going to be interviewing everybody in the book and getting their perspective on the marketing and the evidence they have about what their business is delivering in value to the market. And it's really exciting time in history because there's so many things. Technology is changing daily, right, Marion?
That's right.
I mean, it's just amazing to see how many things are taking place right now. And platforms like Blab we're really excited for. Even though they're in beta, we're actually doing a lot with streaming media and getting the voice of others heard and sharing that across the social platforms. So whatever works for your business, whatever works for your message is really key to your success. Is get comfortable with it. Speaking, you have a speaking event today as well.
Yes, 11 o'clock here in Houston.
I'll be there.
Out there on can't remember the name of the actual event. Lexon.
It's a new place.
Yeah, it's right there at
For those people online, it's in Houston, Texas, by the way.
Yeah, it's you can find us on Meetup. It's the Greater Houston Public Speakers Mastermind Group.
Yeah.
We're kicking off at 11 o'clock. New venue. We've got 28 people RSVP'd, so we're very excited about that. Going to have a lot of value and content there, so hope to see you there. And we also have an event at the same location, February the 3rd. We've got Success in 2016. It's 3rd in a series, and we've got a lot of feedback with that. We're teaming up with Victor Escalante and his expertise, so we're very excited about that.
Very talented.
So check that out on Eventbrite and Meetup. You can find those. So thank you.
Fantastic. Well, Marion, I have to jump off onto another call, and we're at 9 o'clock. And I just want to make sure that everybody knows that we're here every Tuesday and Thursday at 8:30 Central Time. We get on early and we stay late on a regular basis. And I just wanted to share the fact that, marketing is critical to everyone's business, and marketing ideas that work are, if we can fast track to finding out what works, it's going to be everybody's benefit, right? We don't have to go through the testing phase too long. So
that's right.
There you go.
Well, I'm going to stop the recording, but we'll talk for a few minutes after. So please stay if you'd like. I know there's a few people that have been wanting to jump into the conversation. So you go on ahead, Russ. I'm going to go to Tracy's event today. I'm looking forward to it.
Fantastic.
That's with the Public Speakers Association here in Houston. And he's our fearless leader. Yes.
Fantastic.
Am I lucky or what?
That's right. I'm lucky. I'm the lucky one.
Yeah. Well, I it's great to share this information, and thanks everyone for joining in on the chat session, and see you next Tuesday. All right.
Yes, we're here every Tuesday and Thursday at 8:30 right here on this channel. So be sure and join in. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Come see us at Future Media Association.